Good Saturday evening. The Tennessee Volunteers handle Vanderbilt by a final score of 48-24. I'm Eric Kane alongside Austin Price and Brent Hubbs. Senior Day, Austin. It was a game Tennessee was expected to win. Handedly, it did. But the story of the night, one senior in particular, and that was Joe Milton.
Yeah, 6 total touchdowns. It was fantastic. 4 through the air, 2 on the ground, and was very efficient. Worked all parts of the field. He finally had kind of that moment. Now Vanderbilt's not very good. I get that, but there have been times where he's played teams that weren't very good, and he's still not been as efficient as he was tonight. And finally has that 300-yard game hover, almost threw for 400 yards.
Yeah, he did. He played. He made quick decisions, got the ball out of his hands. His ball placement was the best it's been all season long, regardless of who they played. This is the same guy who threw for 100 yards against Texas A&M, and couldn't hit guys in stride against Austin Peay earlier in the year. So give credit where credit is due. I don't care what the competition looks like. This is the Joe Milton that everybody was hoping to see all season long, and he played his best on senior night and in Knoxville against a Vanderbilt team that put up a gallant fight offensively. They did some nice things offensively and some misdirection stuff to try to give Tennessee's defense some problems. But the story of the night's Joe Milton, because that's the best he's played in his Tennessee career.
Yeah, for you, Austin, kind of what was the difference in Joe? It's you put up those numbers against anybody. It doesn't matter who you're playing. That's still impressive. But was it because Vanderbilt was not very good? Was it because pressure didn't get to Joe Milton much more? Was it because his receivers were beating man-on-man coverage? What was the difference in Joe Milton that nearly threw for, you talked about first game throwing for over 300 yards, almost threw for 400 yards, and, of course, 6 total TDs.
Well, he's gotten better over the course of the season. Now, again, the offense has sputtered out. It's not been able to convert in the red zone, and, it's 17 total points in the last 2 weeks, going into this one. But, he's still been more efficient. He's been more accurate the back part of the year. So the accuracy was there. And, again, Vanderbilt's just not very good at creating pressure. So when he don't, have a ton of time. And he did a few nice plays where he was able to avoid, people in the backfield, step aside, shake off a would-be defender that was trying to get him down, and make a play. And even a few that he wasn't able to make, he still was able to keep the play alive, get the ball downfield, get out of the pocket, and if it was incomplete, it was incomplete, and you live to fight another down at 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10 instead of 2nd and 15 or 3rd and 15 after a sack.
Yeah, I thought, the other thing he did was work the middle of the football field, which we've just not seen them do on a consistent basis. There are games where they seem to trust him. There are games where they don't. This was a game they trusted him because he played well early. Hit Keaton on a middle of the field throw down the field.
He had a good game.
He did. Keaton played well, but, I think the biggest thing is they used all parts of the field. It wasn't just the outside stuff, and they got him in a rhythm. And again, Vanderbilt didn't put up the greatest fight defensively, but Joe threw the ball on time and made quick decisions.
Jalen Wright surpasses 1,000 yards on the ground. First Tennessee running back to do so since Jalen Hurd in 2015. First Tennessee, or the 19th Tennessee running back to ever do that. And also in the first quarter, it felt like, well, is he going to do it? Because his first 3 carries, 2 yards. First 6 plays did not hand the football off. But he had a really strong second quarter, and again, just icing on the cake to a fantastic year for him.
Yeah, correct. He ends up with 11 carries, 75 yards. Kind of kept his average right around 7 again, like 6.8 or whatever it was. They're going to miss him. I doubt he plays the bowl game. So when you get to whatever destination that is, I think this team's going to look a lot different. Don't expect Tyler Barron to play in the bowl game. Don't think he probably would be able to at least play the first half, even if, because I think they'll go back and review it. If they reviewed Jawan Jennings, deal a few years ago and kept him out the first half in Jacksonville, I can't imagine that they're not going to review Tyler Barron. I think Jalen Wright's a potential opt-out. I think that there'll be some guys going in the portal that, won't be here. So it'll be this team will look different the next time we see it play.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I think that, Jalen Wright, what he did, he's the guy that backed up all the talk about the buzz, right? There was all the summer buzz about him, and to Jalen Hyatt's credit, he backed that up 100%. And Jalen Wright, I'm not sure who I said, but Jalen Wright is the guy that backed it up 100%. And to his credit, he played well. He was physical. He made guys, miss, and he played through contact and had a really good year. So he should be really pleased with where he's at. I don't know where his draft stock's going to be. We'll see, but The run against Georgia will help him greatly because it shows his speed. He's got some power to go with it, and he's a guy who's had just a terrific year.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal, and really, running tonight behind pretty much a backup offensive line. I mean, again, you go in, your 2 starting tackles, John Campbell, Gerald Mincey, are not playing. Midway through the first quarter, you look down, Jeremiah Crawford, who's one of your starting tackles, is not in. Gerald Mincey is going to the left side, so your starting right tackle, who is playing on one leg, is going to left tackle and playing. You had your starting center go down and Cooper Mason, so Ollie Lane shifts in. You have Addison Nichols. You have Jackson Lampley filling in for Javonte Spraggins. Very much musical chairs on the offensive front. But, hey, again, you finished with 48 points. You finished with over 600 yards of total offense. It's Vanderbilt, but regardless of who was out there, Vanderbilt had no answer.
No, they didn't. I mean, their only answer was to try to, get into a fight with the team and cause a ruckus. Just slowed us down into the longest 3:30 game.
I think Tyler Barron had something to do with that as well.
He did, but I mean,
I'll tell you who had the biggest thing to do with that. Okay,
the officials.
What a crap job by the officiating crew.
Same crew that Tennessee had at Alabama.
Yeah, to get control of a football game. Okay, Tyler Barron should have been flagged for the first one.
Yep.
Everybody on the field stopped except for Tyler. He knocked the quarterback down. That's worthy of the penalty. If you throw the flag there, you eliminate that stuff. You let it happen twice. Okay, you knew. I mean, Josh Heupel's on the sideline telling all of his defensive guys, "Hey, keep your head." He's pointing at his temple, like, "Hey, be smart here." Whatever. You knew there was a brawl coming on that next play. Bad job by the officiating crew. Just a really poor job of controlling a football game because you missed a call, then you missed another call, and then you didn't get control by throwing anybody out of the game or even going to review if somebody should be. Hey, we had a brouhaha. The bench is cleared. People left the sideline with no helmet to get involved, but it's offsetting. Let's just put the ball down and play.
they called 15 yards on Bryson Easton for striking his opponent in the helmet.
I looked over at AP and I said, what needs to happen for someone to get ejected in this football game? Of course, there was a brawl in the Iron Bowl today. There was a brawl yesterday, Missouri, Arkansas, and of course there was one here. Look at the defense. Maybe not the cleanest day defensively overall, but you give up one true touchdown drive there in the first half. You give up a field goal. You give up a late touchdown. You give up a late field goal. Overall, Brent, what did you see from Tennessee's defense that, again, missing a lot of guys out there?
They settled in, were pretty decent in the second quarter and got going. I think they had 6 or 7 penalties in the second half. I mean, they were just not very clean. They just weren't clean in the second half. I mean, they had 2 blatant roughing the passer calls that were just not very smart plays. So not the smartest effort out of those guys. But Tennessee had a big lead, and it was fine. I mean, they played pretty well in the second quarter and the third quarter when they only gave up 3 points. So, they gave up 14 in the fourth. But one of those was, D. Williams muffing a punt, gives them a freebie there. Yeah. So it was an okay day by the defense. I mean, nothing to me to just go wow about. I mean, there were moments, but there was not a ton of wow. They just dominated those guys.
Question for you, Brent. Tyler Barron was called offsides, I want to say 3 times in this game, and there were a couple others. Is that because it was so frequent? Was that somebody from Vanderbilt going to the official saying, hey, this guy's lining up offsides every single time, look for it, and they look for it and they called it?
Well, I mean, look, it's pretty simple. Don't line up offsides.
I mean, it's elementary, yeah.
Just don't. I mean, if you do it once and you get caught, okay, they're on to you. Don't. It's not like he was jumping the snap count and being offsides. He was offsides because he was lining up offsides. Again, just not the sharpest day for Tennessee defensively, but it didn't have to be against a Vanderbilt team that obviously has a hard time scoring points.
I think the tight ends were really, really good in this game. We got to talk with both of those guys, McCallum Castles, Jacob Warren, after the game. Of course, that video is up on the website right now. One of the last things I want to discuss is, and again, we have all off season to discuss this. It's fine, but I want to make mention of it right now. I mean, what do we have to do to see some young guys play in this football game? I mean, the game's completely out of hand late in the fourth quarter. It takes forever to get Nico in that game. It takes forever. Some of these younger guys we didn't even see play in this game. We kind of had this conversation a lot. This time it's in a win, so you'd rather have this conversation in a win. But Josh Heupel really doesn't play a whole lot of players.
Well, hope it's worth it. I mean, that's what I have to say about it. I mean, I don't think anybody in the freshman class is jumping in the portal after freshman year. But, I think there's going to be some sophomores that probably look to jump in. In a year from now, if some of these freshmen that are soon to be sophomores aren't seeing the action, I'd say you'll see some of them jump in. You can't keep playing guys that are in 5th and 6th year guys. Don't get me wrong. Listen, Callan Castles, Jacob Warren, all those.
Ollie Lane.
Ollie Lane. All those guys played key roles, right? I'm talking about the guys that didn't start, that came in off the bench as 5th year guys. Like, listen, that's great, man. I'm proud of those guys. But at the end of the day, you got to start making a move to some youth. If you don't, you're going to risk losing some of the youth that you went out and recruited here that has talent. They will be the first to acknowledge to you how much talent they have in that younger class, but then it doesn't reflect it with the substitutions in games like tonight. Again, I'm not saying you throw them out there, in bad situations, but when you're up 24 points, 28 points, 35 points, I mean, what are we doing? Like, I just don't. I don't grasp it. I don't understand it, and they can't give me any real reason why that they do what they do. Like, it's nothing real, nothing tangible.
Well, I mean, I joked with you on the 2-minute drill in the movie reference, but it felt like it was records day. Hey, let's get Joe 300 yards. Let's see if you can get him an extra touchdown. Get him one more, right? I mean, you're going to play next year with Nico as your quarterback. He needs as much work as he can get. And listen, Joe had a great day. He had enough. Like, there was no need. There was no more. I thought at one point, okay, maybe they're going to let him have a curtain call, right? They're going to sub Nico in the middle of a series, and here you go. Instead, they keep him in there and they throw another deep ball to try to get a deep shot. It almost feels like you're trying to pad stats or pad records. I mean, why are you kicking 2 field goals in the fourth quarter? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
why are you kicking field goals down by 30 the last couple weeks?
But I mean, like today, you got Nico on the field. It's 4th and 2. You're up 28. Go for it. Yeah. Play those young guys. And it's not just Nico. I think that's the point Austin making. I mean, there's a lot of other positions where you had opportunity to play some young guys, particularly in the secondary.
Yeah, secondary. I mean, Rodney plays his guys, BJ plays his guys. The secondary is a bit of a joke to me. I would have this conversation with Willie Martinez and Tim Banks and not blink an eye. Like, I understand that they don't need to play 50 snaps, but like in a game like tonight, why, and they're going to say, well, Ricky Gibson played. Okay, that's great. What about Jordan Matthews? What about Christian Conyers? What about John Slaughter? All I hear about is how great. I mean, John Slaughter's the best athlete we got in the secondary. I mean, he's a bright future. Blah 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 blah. Where's he at? We had Jalen McCullough in there till the end, buddy. And I'm telling you right now, he's out of eligibility. They may go the missing man with him out there next year and run out there only with 10 players to start the season.
I mean,
they played him till the end.
Listen, I don't want to take anything away from what those seniors accomplished this season and what those seniors accomplished tonight. They deserved every moment they got. And I don't think Austin was taking – I know he wasn't taking anything away from me. Joe Milton played great tonight. It's the best he's played in his career. But Josh Heupel talked on Vol calls. He talked postgame tonight afterwards about the challenges of managing your roster. Part of those challenges is you got to keep everybody engaged because listen, those guys are getting DMs from everybody, right? They're getting DMs from the personal trainer. They're getting DMs from their 7-on-7 coach, from family members, from guys they met in the recruiting world who are calling them from another school saying, hey, are you happy? All those types of things. So when you have opportunities to play guys, I think it behooves you to play younger players. And I don't want to take anything away from a veteran, a backup veteran getting an opportunity to play some snaps. But you have to think about your future. You have to think about the assets of your program. And the assets of your program going into 2024 are not the guys finishing up eligibility. The assets of your program are your young players. And you have to do everything you can to keep those guys engaged, which is why, for me personally, it was disappointing not to see Nico earlier and not to see some younger players get an opportunity to play in the fourth quarter of this football game, late in the third quarter of this football game. That Tennessee, listen, Eric, they could have played, 16 more quarters, 20 more quarters? Vanderbilt's not winning the football game, right? They're not going to win the football game. So give those guys some opportunities. I think that's somewhere where Josh Heupel and his staff really have to look at those things, particularly if you're going to play it out the way that they play it out to the final whistle. Give those young guys some opportunities in games that you've got complete control of. I think this goes back to 2 years ago when we saw this in games that they had complete control of and they were slow to get young players in. I think that's something they have to look at and improve upon moving forward.
The regular season has come and gone. Tennessee finishes with an 8-4 record, 4-4 in Southeastern Conference play. We'll continue to break down all that was Tennessee in 2023. And, of course, look ahead to the bowl game. Tennessee's got a bowl game coming up. Is it going to be the Gator Bowl? Likely, in my opinion. We'll see if they can backdoor into the Tampa Bowl or what. I guess it's what's that bowl? The Outback Bowl. What's that bowl called now?
It's the Outback Bowl to me until they stop giving me a blooming onion when I go to one of those things.
We'll see where Tennessee is. But for the final time here at Neyland Stadium in the 2023 season, Tennessee a winner over Vanderbilt, 48-24.